They travel at speeds pushing 200 miles per hour. The very best drivers in the world putting their lives on the line every week. It's time to get the lowdown on this week's contenders, plus a look at the key driver matchups. Right now on Gone Racin.
Hello, race fans. Back here, another edition of Gone Racing here at the South Point studio. Jeff Motley not alongside Brendan Gaughan today. Brendan is out in Baja, I think, running the Baja 1000. So he is joining us via, what is that, Skype or Zoom or Microsoft Teams? Or
just joining you.
One of those things. We got Brendan on a TV screen. Welcome.
We're joining you. It's Baja 500, not the 1,000.
Baja 500.
Oh, you only, in November. That's
you only go halfway.
Only halfway this time. So down here pre-running for the 500, we're getting ready to go, and things are good. It's been beautiful weather down here so far, and we're ready to go, man. I tried to get you a better view, Motley, than the hotel room, but we're overlooking a beautiful marina. Got the ocean sitting right here in Ensenada. Yeah, it was too bright. Couldn't do it. Had to
and
face
I probably like you better that I can't see the marina behind you, to tell you the truth. Well, this week
I was trying to make a nice, pretty view for the fans.
Yeah, there you go. So this week we're going to break down the Coca-Cola 600 a little bit, and we're going to talk about a racetrack that is hitting the NASCAR Cup Series circuit for the first time ever. NASCAR heading out to the St. Louis area and Gateway International Raceway. But, Brendan, let's talk for a little bit about the Coke 600. I mean, that was a wild, crazy, and you know, first it was a wild and crazy race, but to run 600 miles and for that race to be as competitive as it was for 600 miles, I think it is a true testament to this new race car and also how racy these drivers are.
Well, I mean, first, it was the longest Coke 600 in history, listen, anytime it's something that's history, right? You got to bring it up.
Longest race in NASCAR history. Any race in NASCAR history, yes.
No, so I mean that was dang impressive. But you know the way I looked at it, you and I had some bad beats, Motley. Bad beats. We had some winners locked in there, and my man Austin Dillon made the move to get me that top three, and it didn't end well for him. But Denny Hamlin finally won. You know what? He's won Daytona, of course. Now he's won the Coke 600. So Denny Hamlin is winning the crown jewels of our sport, and what a way to do it. I mean, he won the longest ever race in Coke 600 in NASCAR history and did a heck of a job doing it.
You know, and sometimes it's about surviving. Obviously, first time he's won there in 17 tries to win the Coke 600, and he really was. I mean, he was a survivor in this race. And guess what, Brendan? He was another double-digit winner, of course. Came in 12-1 to win the race. He was plus 330 for a top three. He was also on the plus line against Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, plus 115 against Kyle Larson, a plus 105 against Kyle Busch, and he was straight up against Chase Elliott, won that. And he was not the favorite in Group A, but he came in, he won Group A at a plus 300. So if you had Denny Hamlin, and we have to give a little bit of a shout-out, little pat on the back to our pit crew, they did pick Denny Hamlin to win the race. Wyatt is celebrating behind the glass right now, by the way. But gets credit.
Hey, listen, we talk. Picking a 43-man horse race is tough to do. Wyatt and the boys, and I don't know whose choice that one was. I don't know if that was on. Wyatt, he's giving himself the pat on the chest. He's saying that was all him. So great job. But now, Jeff, that's our third different driver this year to win, to have to win two races. So our theory of 16, 17 race winners, it took a little shot, but I still think we got a chance to get them.
Well, we know we've got at least, three? We got four road courses, three road courses coming up. We still have Atlanta and we have Daytona. So those are 5 tracks right there where almost anything can happen. By the way, I will just say this about Wyatt beating his chest back there. There's an old saying, failure is an orphan, success has many fathers. So we're not exactly sure who picked it, but he is going to take credit for it. He's really smiling now, by the way. He's very happy about it.
Who knows? Who's heard that saying? Where is that a Virginia thing?
Maybe. Hey, look, you went to college pretty much right across the river from Virginia, so anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
New one to me. I think I share the scratching of my head with the VSiN crew behind the glass going, never heard it.
All right, well, let's take – I guess what we did not have this week, though, Brendan, We did not have a double-digit top three guy. Our guys getting points in the top three. We talked about Denny Hamlin. Kyle Busch was a plus 150. Kevin Harvick kind of survived all the carnage, as did Kyle Busch, by the way, driving through that last wreck without hitting anything. Kevin Harvick at a plus 850. And then some names, Chase Briscoe, who has the win this year at Phoenix. He rebounded well. Christopher Bell, who seemed to have gone to the back about 3 different times, got a 5th. Tyler Reddick finally had a good run, finishing 6th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. again, it seems every week he is right there. He came in 7th. Michael McDowell with an 8th. And Kyle Larson, who went from saying, this is the worst race of my life, to almost winning the race, still gets a top 10, coming in 9th, and Alex Bowman 10th.
How about some of the, I mean, look, are we believing in Ricky Stenhouse yet as a bettor? If I can find Ricky Stenhouse in a group, if I can find Ricky Stenhouse anywhere, I am right now. It's kind of like, remember last year, Ross Chastain was cashing all those tickets for us. We were talking about him constantly. Well, right now, that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I think that's, I got to go back and look. 4 of the last 6 races, top 5, top 10, maybe 5 of the last 7 or something. I mean, absolutely stunning what Ricky Stenhouse is able to do right now. And look at the names up there still. Christopher Bell still doing great. Tyler Reddick still continuing to run strong. I mean, you've got some people in this top 10 that are making it very difficult for us to handicap these races this year, man. This new car has been absolutely fantastic.
No, you're exactly right. And I think with Stenhouse, there's an old saying about the eye test.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
No, the eye test. Some people say, oh, this guy's good on paper. Sometimes you say, okay, this guy passes the eye test. Well, we were so used to Stenhouse being good at Daytona and Talladega, but I've watched the guy race. He is being competitive every week. He's not just missing wrecks and getting lucky or having a gas mileage run. Stenhouse has literally been a top 10 car every week. So I think he's a guy that I will not be surprised if he actually breaks through all the way to victory lane on a track other than Atlanta or Daytona. And the reason I throw Atlanta in there now is because with the new banking at Atlanta, even though it's a 1.5-mile track, I think it's more like Daytona and Talladega than it is a Charlotte, a Texas, a Vegas, or a Kansas.
Well, and how about this? I mean, Ricky Stenhouse, 7th and 5th in the 2 stages. So to your point, it isn't like Ricky, missed the wreck and was able to get there. It wasn't like Ricky had a mediocre day and did something at the end. He ran 7th in stage 1, 5th in stage 2, ended the day in 7th. I mean, when are we going to start believing in this JTG racing team and Ricky Stenhouse? He's having the year of his career. Eric Almirola, remember a couple of years ago when he came out of nowhere like this again. Ricky Stenhouse is that Cinderella this year for us.
Well, but we also gave him the kiss of death because all 3 of us picked him to win his group, and he didn't manage to win his group despite coming in 7th. So,
how does he not win that group?
I think Chase
finishing 7th.
Was it Chase Briscoe in the same group? I believe.
But
so.
It's still. I mean, come on. How does Ricky not win? He was Group E or something like that, and he finished 7th and doesn't win. Come on, you're killing me.
No, you're right. You talked a minute ago, about our point standings right now, and you're right. We've got 11 different winners now in 14 races, which is starting to make guys like Kurt Busch and Austin Cindric maybe breathe a little bit better right now, because we still have some really, really good names out there, notably Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., who have not found victory lane. Kevin Harvick, he also didn't find it last year. But we're talking off air about Ross Chastain right now. I mean, he is technically the standings leader because of his 2 wins and his 455 points. He's 2nd overall behind Chase Elliott in total points. Just a remarkable season that we're starting to see out of Ross Chastain.
Look, he made a believer out of all of us early, and he's the first one to win 2 races. He's 2nd in points overall and leading the championship standings with the 2 wins. This right now, Trackhouse, if I'm Daniel Suarez right now, I'm scratching my head. I'm sitting there going, what is going on? But you and me as bettors, I'm looking at that saying, at some point, Daniel Suarez is going to start hitting this. I'm going to start pounding some Daniel Suarez bets here pretty soon, because no way can that team run that well and the other one still finish where they are. I think that to me is a sign right there of things to come for Trackhouse Daniel Suarez. But notice there's a name missing. We've been bragging a bunch right now about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 4 or 5 races in a row, top 10. Not in the top 17.
Yeah, it was that bad start. Such a rough start.
And that's what I'm saying is all of a sudden you look at these standings and you go, man, we've been talking about Ricky Stenhouse, but he's not even there yet. So that's which one are we going to get the rest of the season? Right now, I'm pounding him till he stops telling me he's going to finish in these spots.
Well, and you mentioned Daniel Suarez. I would argue he had the best car at Charlotte. He led a lot of laps at Charlotte. The way he went out, he took the lead from Kyle Busch. He took the lead from Kyle Larson. Unfortunately, he got caught up in an accident because every time he came in the pits with the lead, he was coming out in third or fourth or fifth position. I think right now the crew has got to step up and be as good as Daniel is being on the racetrack right now. I'd say the same thing for Bubba Wallace right now. I mean, a week ago, Bubba has to go to the rear of the field because they let a tire loose. And this week, he ends up getting parked because his crew chief didn't know all the rules. So, I mean, you got a couple guys right there in Bubba Wallace and Daniel Suarez, because you also, when you talk about Daniel Suarez, he's not in that top 18 either. They've had two of the best cars on the racetrack the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about guys that it's great, fresh blood, right? It's not the people we're always talking about being up front. These are guys that are doing it. And that's why I keep saying Daniel Suarez has got to turn this around at some point. He's been too fast not to do it.
Well, and I think when you look at what we've got coming up next on the schedule, I mean, this weekend, the new race at Gateway, everybody's going to be kind of a little bit of a level playing field. And then we're going to have a couple of road courses. We have Sonoma and we have Elkhart Lake at Road America. Right between that is Nashville. And then we go to Atlanta. So, I mean, when I look at those next 5 races on the schedule, I look at great opportunities for a number of guys, including guys like Suarez, Bubba Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse, that we don't even see in the top 18 right now.
I really like Daniel Suarez at Elkhart Lake and Sonoma at the road courses. I really do. And I really like guys like Daniel Suarez at some of these tracks, Nashville's and Gateways. I think this is a good shot for these guys to get off the schneid.
Well, it's exciting this week that we're going to be going to a new racetrack. I think anytime we do that, we saw that with Nashville last year. Going out to Gateway this week, and we come back on Gone Racing, Brendan and I will start breaking down the odds to win in top 3 in St. Louis. Back here on Gone Racing, Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan is joining me remote from Ensenada, I guess. Is that where you are? In Ensenada, Mexico? For the
Yes, sir.
Baja 500. I screwed that up in the opening segment. Is it Ensenada? Is that where you're
down
staying?
in
For
Ensenada. Yep.
Okay.
We've been in San Felipe pre-running. Then we got done on that side, the Cia Cortez side. We moved back to the coast side. Now we're here till the start of the race.
Does that race make a loop, or is it like a one-way race? How does that go?
This is a loop race.
Okay.
It starts and ends in Ensenada, right on at the Riviera. So where it's been starting and finishing since my daddy raced in the 70s.
And for those of you who are watching us on YouTube or where else you might watch us, Brendan is doing us all a favor by not showing us the beautiful bay and ocean that is on the other side of him in his hotel room. All right.
Looks pretty nice. I'm looking at it.
I know you are, and we're not. So, all right, this weekend, first Cup race ever out at Gateway International Raceway in St. Louis. Kudos to Curtis Francois, Chris Blair, and the whole group out there. Chris Blair, a good friend of ours here at the Speedway, used to run the drag strip out here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, now the GM out at Gateway. What is Gateway International Raceway, or World Wide Technology Raceway as it's called now? It's a 1.25-mile oval, 11 degrees of banking in turns 1 and 2, 9 degrees in turns 3 and 4. And Brendan, I actually like to call this a flat Darlington because one turn is much wider than the other turn. It's kind of a pear-shaped racetrack, but you've raced there. And who won the truck race in 03 that might have a little bit of knowledge on this track?
Don't you remember? I remember that one very well. No, look, what's fun about Worldwide Technologies, and Chris is going to be mad at you for misnaming it. You know, I mean, come on, you gotta get those names in there.
I recovered.
With this new car, as much as they can shift. So even back in those days, we shifted at St. Louis. We downshifted. I downshifted actually in both corners. Most people just downshifted in 1 and 2. So with this new car, I bet you're going to see a lot of those flames out of the exhaust pipes because I think you're going to see them downshift. Not once. I think you might even see 2 downshifts in turn 1. So going to be interesting. Who knows how to shift in the corners? Who's going to know how to really put that thing down? And then a whole lot of people here have raced and have won at this racetrack in recent history too. Not going back to my day, but some guys recently have won there. So I got some good stats when we get into the odds.
Well, that's the interesting thing. We got some guys that haven't won there since the Busch administration. I mean, heck, I may be guys that won during the Clinton administration there that's still running. I don't know. It has been quite a while ago. In fact, just for background, while we've talked about the Cup Series has never raced there, the Xfinity Series hasn't raced there since 2010, but the Truck Series has continued to race there for a number of years, including racing there the last few years. So the guys that are recently in the Truck Series, certainly much more familiar. Let's take a look at our odds to win. Our co-favorites, Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, one of those guys that won during the Busch administration there at plus 800. Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, last week's winner, coming in at plus 900. Then we got a bunch of guys at 10-1. William Byron, Ross Chastain, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick 12-1, along with Christopher Bell, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano at 16-1, Alex Bowman 18, Chase Briscoe 25, Kurt Busch, Eric Almirola 30, Daniel Suarez 40, Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, and Austin Cindric at 60-1. What jumps out there, Brendan?
Well, if I'm going off of experience, I'm looking at a bunch of these names. I mean, I can look right now and circle 4 guys on that list. Bubba Wallace won in 2014. Ross Chastain, come on, Ross Chastain's been great everywhere. He's double-digit, 10-1. They still aren't believing in him, and he won in 2019. Cole Custer, he's not on this page. He's got a win there. There's Christopher Bell has a win there. So you got some guys that have 12-1, 10-1. You got some really good numbers here on guys that have won, but I'm looking at this place very similar to Phoenix. Little banking on one side, really flat on the other. So you can look down at Phoenix and maybe get some numbers there, and then you start screaming Chase Elliott's, you start screaming Alex Bowman's, you got Chase Briscoe who won this year. So this is going to be a tough race to handicap, but a lot of names, a lot of good returns scream out to me. Not just the favorites at Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch and the Martin Truex is the front runners.
And I got to believe Kyle Larson has very, very few laps on this track because he was never a full-time guy in the Truck Series from what I can remember. So he probably has had very, very few laps around Gateway. So he doesn't have nearly the experience some of the other guys. One guy I really like in there, you mentioned Ross Chastain. He won here in 2019. So he is the most recent winner at Gateway that is in the field because the last 2 Truck Series races there, I believe Sheldon Creed won, and he obviously is not in the Cup race. So I think Chastain's recent familiarity, and he didn't win it with the best truck probably either. He was racing for Nice Motorsports, and kind of historically it's been the Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks that have been so good. So I think Ross Chastain definitely going to be a guy to watch out for. Now let's take a look at our longer shots. Sometimes we get these guys finding their way to victory lane, and some of those names we've talked about, Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski at 60-1, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., there's that guy again, 80-1, Chris Buescher, 100-1, Cole Custer, A.J. Allmendinger getting back into the seat this week at 200-1, and then some much longer shots. But those include Michael McDowell at 500-1 and Justin Haley at 500-1, a couple of guys that have had some good runs over the last month.
Well, look, and Justin Haley, he comes off a third-place finish, 3 weeks ago? And now Justin Haley, he's won here in 2018. He's 500-1. I will give a little pause on Dinger. Dinger is not going to be able to qualify or practice. He is going to be up in Portland for the Xfinity race, and then Ben Rhodes is practicing qualifying, and then he's coming in. Huge disadvantage to me for A.J. Allmendinger. You know how we're normally pretty high on him when he shows up in the Cup Series in that Colin car. So not quite as high as him. But Justin Haley, third place a few weeks ago, former winner here, 500-1. You're looking for the super-duper long shot. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but stranger things have.
Brendan, let me ask you a question. Talk about the A.J. Allmendinger. So we know that Colleague Racing has shared that car between Daniel Hemrick, Noah Gragson, and A.J. Allmendinger throughout the year. A.J. probably has the least amount of experience at Gateway. Now, I understand he's the older, the veteran driver who may be going back and forth between Portland, Oregon, and St. Louis, or actually it's the track itself is in Illinois. But wouldn't you think that maybe having either Gragson or Hemrick, who have raced on that racetrack much more recently, would be a better choice than putting A.J. in there?
No, I think that A.J.'s shifting ability, his road course ability, and I just talked earlier about this car and how you have to shift it. All of them have to come from Portland. Noah and Daniel are all in Portland for the road course race. So to me, having the Dinger, his ability to adapt to cars quickly, I think that's why they've done it. But I still think it's a disadvantage. But I do like some guys on the second page. Like you said, Cole Custer, former winner here too, on the second page. So a lot of big numbers stick out to me.
And 80-1 on Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I mean, we've talked about the guy. I mean, he keeps finishing in the top 10.
Every week.
And I mean, when you look at how competitive these races have been, it's kind of I'm not sitting here advocating saying, "Oh man, you got to go bet Ricky Stenhouse Jr." But you got $5 laying around, you want to just throw it on Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to win this race. I mean, that ain't the worst thing in the world. I think
Let's talk about him in the top three. I'll
Well-
take him in the top three in a heartbeat right now.
Well, speaking of top threes, let's get to the top threes. Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch both coming in at plus 200. Then Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney plus 250. William Byron, Ross Chastain, and Chase Elliott plus 280. Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell at 300. Kevin Harvick and Logano at 450. Bowman is 500. Briscoe 650. Kurt Busch, Eric Almirola at 850, and we get into a couple of those double-digit guys, Suarez and Cindric at 11-1, Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace at 17-1. Man, there's a bunch of guys between 200 and 300.
Yeah, and the problem is that those numbers went way down from the odds to win. But if you get to that second page, Motley, there's some guys I really do like on our longer distance odds for a top three.
Well, that was one of the big things. We talked about the fact that we had been getting these double-digit guys, and we didn't get one last week. But look at this. Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski, 17-1. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., that guy, 20. Chris Buescher's 25. Cole Custer and A.J. Allmendinger, 50. Ty Dillon, Michael McDowell, Justin Haley, Harrison Burton, all at 100.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I come in and say, okay, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., as good as he's been running, a 20-1 shot, I kind of like that. Austin Dillon, as good as he's been running, 17-1, I kind of like that. Justin Haley, now top three, already proved he can do it. He's got to win here. He's got to be feeling good coming to this track. There's the 100-1 shot. Could we see a triple-digit top threer? I mean, you never know. I would be willing to put Justin Haley and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. both in a not super long shot version of a top three at this racetrack this weekend.
Well, and the one name we mentioned there, the guy at the top of the list, we really didn't talk about him that much from Charlotte, is Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon is a guy that made a great pit stop decision at Charlotte to take on 4 tires. But again, you've got to be there even for that strategy to work. He had a chance. He was going for the win. I think Austin Dillon is a guy who's starting to show some consistency there. And look, let's face it, the pressure for Austin Dillon, it's on right now because he is right there on the cusp with his teammate Tyler Reddick, with Eric Almirola, trying to get into that 16th position in the event that we don't get that many winners.
Well, and he's got a lot of heat. Tyler Reddick is plus 300. He's 17-1 for a top three. So, I mean, he's got to be feeling the sting of that, that Tyler Reddick running so well, finishing up there, he's not. So he's definitely got a little nerves going on in that situation.
Well, there's definitely a lot of different good numbers up there that we've got right now in the top threes. And we talked about the double-digit guys potentially getting into top three, but the fact that, Brendan, you brought it up right there, there's not that far-fetched that we could literally end up somebody that's in the triple digits getting a top three. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, we come back on Gone Racing. We'll start breaking down our driver head-to-head matchups, and we'll probably get into our top threes when we come back on Gone Racing. Want to rewatch any part of today's show or any past show? Check out the Gone Racing podcast. It's free and available now at VSiN.com/podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. We give you all the latest news, odds, and everything you need to know to head to the betting counter before each NASCAR Cup Series race. The Gone Racing podcast is free and available now at VSiN.com/podcasts. And while you're there, catch up all the other VSiN shows as well. Jeff Motley, along with Brendan Gaughan, joining us remotely from Ensenada, getting ready for the Baja 500, talking about this weekend's inaugural race at World Wide Technology Raceway just outside of St. Louis, just across the Mississippi River in, Madison, Illinois, I believe is the actual town the track is in. And, Brendan, it's time to start talking head-to-heads, and we don't have necessarily big numbers, but we've got a lot of numbers here. And Denny Hamlin is the guy that, if you're going on the don't line right now, Kyle Larson, plus 105, Martin Truex Jr. plus 105, Kyle Busch plus 105, and William Byron plus 105, all against Denny Hamlin's minus 125. Any big numbers jump out at you?
What I look at is Ryan Blaney. I mean, finished fourth this year at Phoenix, which I said is very similar. And Ryan Blaney has a lot of plus 110s, plus 110 versus Chase Elliott, plus 110 versus Ross, plus 105 versus Seabell. I do like a lot of these numbers on Ryan Blaney, even though we sometimes say not the closer, but I do like that. I mean, he's been pretty strong at the short tracks and at mile and a half. So I do like a Ryan Blaney on some of those lines.
So while we like to talk about the don't line, you've got Ryan Blaney on the do line.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's in the last 5 short track races in NASCAR. He's got 4 top 10s, 3 top 5s. No wins to show for it, but still fantastic numbers on these short tracks. I do like some of that right there. I do, and it's plus 110s. It's not a 105. It's got a standard VIG return right there with a plus 110, a 10% juice. I'll take that. I'll take that win all day long.
You know, if I told you before the season started that the very first week of June, Ryan Blaney would be plus 110 to Ross Chastain's minus 125, we would have just basically said we're quitting the show, that we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. I mean, that's how good Ross Chastain has become, though. I mean, minus 125. I'm talking about Ryan Blaney. Guess who finished second at Phoenix this year? Ross Chastain. So there's a reason why he's minus 125 right now.
Yeah, and, it's confidence, too. I mean, that team's just got confidence. I mean, they know they're going to go out. They expect to run well now. I think Justin Marks expects his cars to unload and run well every week. And I think even Justin, I think he's got a third car that's going to be in a race a little bit later on this year. I think he's got one of the IndyCar guys or Formula One guys.
No, Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah, Kimi Räikkönen.
Kimi Räikkönen coming.
Formula One driver.
Yeah, no.
So that's going to be interesting.
They've announced that deal where that's going to be interesting. Now, wouldn't bet on it when they come, but still going to be fun to watch.
Well, absolutely. Okay, let's start talking about our group matchups now. Group A, it's a really, really tightly bunched Group A. Denny Hamlin is the favorite, maybe coming off of his win last week at plus 260. Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch both at plus 270. Martin Truex Jr., the long shot there, at plus 285. And, boy, I think that's a hard one to handicap, Brendan.
It is. I mean, I just go back, and once again, I like to go to the stats, right? Last 5 races on short tracks, Denny Hamlin average finish 13. Last 5 races on short tracks for Martin Truex Jr. is 15. 2 guys right there I can kind of take out of the list right off the bat as far as just going to a short track, right? Now, you look at the last 5 on a Kyle Larson or a Kyle Busch. Well, Kyle Busch, 7.4. Kyle Larson, only 13-0. So I like Kyle Busch in this just based off the numbers. And Kyle Busch, remember, when he runs a new racetrack with new stuff, he's always been good. Remember the Bristol stuff? Remember over the years, he's always kind of shown up well at these new tracks.
And you talk about Kyle Busch, and what else does Kyle Busch really, really like? He really, really likes practice. And NASCAR is giving them an extra practice on Friday to get ready for this race because it's a brand new racetrack. I think Kyle Busch getting the extra seat time, the extra laps in, I think is certainly going to play well for him in this race. And Kyle, he's probably, he probably remembers this track better than some of the old guys from when he raced there because Kyle seems to have like a photographic memory when it comes to racetracks. So Kyle Busch, a very strong contender, I think, in Group A. Okay, Group B, William Byron is the favorite, plus 255. Chase Elliott and Ross Chastain at plus 270, and Ryan Blaney at plus 295. Boy, I tell you, I'm really high on Chastain this week, so I'll let you talk about Group B.
No, so am I. I can give you stats that Chase Elliott, what he's done at Phoenix, he's been really good there. Ryan Blaney, I just gave you some. William Byron, 2 top 5s and a win in the last 5 short track races. But I love momentum. I love, all those things we talk about. Ross Chastain has it. He's won there. He's going in there with that attitude that he has, that swagger that he has. And this is a track that you beat and bang on people. And they let Ross run all over them in tracks like this. So I think this is going to play into Ross Chastain's hands. I really like him in Group B.
Before we move to Group C, you've talked a lot about Phoenix. You mentioned Phoenix a lot. I guess maybe from the naked eye, as a person who has never obviously raced on these tracks, I almost see a blend of Darlington, New Hampshire, and Phoenix, all 3 together. But you have raced on all of these tracks, so you feel like it is the greatest comparison is Phoenix, even though the track's a little bit bigger?
Yeah, because the 2 corners are similar to Phoenix. You have the one flat, one with a little banking tighter, just like Phoenix has. Milwaukee, we used to make that. Some of us used to talk about Milwaukee back in the day. 2 flat corners were similar to Gateway. New Hampshire, 2 flat corners. But Phoenix is the one that has 2 diabolically different corners just like gateways. That's why I'm doing so much comparison to Phoenix this week.
Good to know, since I have to do the promo at the end of the show, so I know what I can
There you
talk
go.
about a little bit. So you're helping me out today, BG. All right, let's
Anytime.
take a look at our Group C. Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, and Alex Bowman are all coming in at plus 280. Tyler Reddick is a long shot there at plus 320. That's a big number on Mr. Reddick. Oh, I misread that wrong. I'm sorry. Christopher Bell's the favorite at 220. Joey and Alex are 280, and Reddick is 320.
Yeah, and you look at this, we like Tyler Reddick as much as he's been running lately. He has been running so well, but so is Christopher Bell. 5 races, 3 top 10s on the short tracks. It makes me look at that and go, man, I do really like Seabell, at this place. But if I look back, where was Christopher Bell?
He's got a win there in the trucks.
Yeah, no, he has a win there in the trucks. I like the bookends. I like the top or bottom. If you're going to do it, I like Seabell or I like Tyler Reddick. The middle two, to me, are kind of the most blah on that group.
Well, I completely agree with you there. And Christopher Bell's a guy, I mean, every week, week in, week out, he's being consistent. And, Reddick has he's run well every week, but he hasn't always finished well every week. He's been a little more inconsistent, and I think I like Bell's consistency there. Okay, looking at Group D, our favorite there is Kevin Harvick at plus 235, Kurt Busch plus 240, Chase Briscoe plus 295, and the longest of long shots, Eric Almirola coming in at a plus 330.
I know you always say, what have you done for me lately? Well, guess what? Kevin Harvick in the last 5 short track races, which is basically just this year, 6th, 2nd, 9th. 14th at Martinsville, okay, but 8th, 6th, 2nd, 9th. Kevin Harvick absolutely knows how to get it done, and you and I both know, I think he used to have the deed to Phoenix Raceway. So I really like Kevin Harvick in this group. Now, Chase Briscoe won the last race, though. So I might have a hedge on my bets here when we talk a little later. I got a way to kind of hedge these two out and see if I can't play both of them. But I like Harvick, I like Briscoe, and I like a way to hedge it.
And that was really standing out to me was when you started talking Phoenix and thinking Chase Briscoe, because he didn't just win that first race at Phoenix. I mean, he really kind of went out there and dominated the second half of that race.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, it was probably one of the more dominating performances that we've seen this year, because so many races no one's been able to dominate. So that one kind of stuck with me a little bit. All right, let's take a look at our Group E. Daniel Suarez comes in as the favorite there at plus 205. Eric Jones and Austin Dillon both at plus 290, and Austin Cindric at a plus 325. This one's kind of all over the board.
Oh, the problem I have with my guy Austin Dillon is anytime you have to shift, I struggle with Dillon. He's been getting so much better on his short track racing or on his road course racing, and it's improved so much. But he's up against a guy like Daniel Suarez, who has a good background. He's got Austin Cindric at 325. Now, remember, Austin Cindric has raced everything, and he has raced a lot at World Wide Technology Raceway. So 325, Austin Cindric, I really like that. Really like that.
Yeah, and you like to talk. You've been talking a little bit about the road course comparison because of the shifting. Austin Cindric won 13 races in the Xfinity Series in his career. 5 of them came on road courses at 5 different road courses. So I think he has certainly proven himself as capable when he does have to shift. So I'm kind of with you. I look at Austin Cindric right there. I see him as a guy who could certainly win it. And a guy like Daniel Suarez, I mean, he has been consistent all year. He's, as far as running, he just hasn't finished consistently.
I like the top and bottom of those. Like I told you, you either got the top or bottom to me in that one, but the 325 is really enticing to me to say, ooh, that's a big return in Group E, Jeff.
Well, we've only got one group left. When we come back on Gone Racing, we will talk about Group F, and then we'll begin the process of breaking down who is going to do well in all of our various manufacturer. We call them props. Back on Gone Racing. Welcome back to our final segment here on Gone Racing this week, talking about the inaugural race coming up at World Wide Technology Raceway at Gateway International Raceway outside of St. Louis. Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan, who's actually joining us remote this week from Ensenada, Mexico, where he's running in the Baja 500. And Brendan, we only got one group left. We got the Group F Brad Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, and Chris Buescher are all coming in at a plus 260. And then there's that guy, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., plus 310 as a long shot.
Listen, I don't know what it's going to take to get the odds makers to start buying into this, but they haven't bought into it yet. Ricky Stenhouse, Group F, plus 310. Lock of the week for me. Look, Brad Keselowski has won here in a Busch car in like 2008. Bubba Wallace won in 2014 in a truck. Chris Buescher has run well in a truck here, but nobody comes in with what they've been doing lately like Ricky Stenhouse. And I just think Ricky Stenhouse is an absolute lock for this pick.
And especially given the fact that he's a long shot at plus 310, I think that makes him even a greater value. So we were the kiss of death on him last week, even though he had a great run last week. We just
finished 7th.
We didn't see Chase Briscoe having the run he was having. All right, we got our props back this week. With the end of the last segment, I couldn't get the word prop out. I don't know why. I was all tongue-tied here. So, it happens sometimes, right? It's kind of, what are we, live to tape, right? So, all right, let's look at our Chevy prop. Kyle Larson's a favorite, plus 350. Then Byron Chastain and Elliott all 450. Reddick 500. Bowman 750. The double-digit guys Suarez at 12-1. Eric Jones and Austin Dillon 18. Stenhouse at 30. Allmendinger 50. Ty Dillon, Justin Haley 100. And we'll talk about Josh Bilicki at 500.
Listen, we talk a lot about how tough it is for the Chevrolet's top manufacturer pick, but Kyle Larson at 350 is better than his top 3 odds. He's plus 200 for top 3. So if you're going to pick Kyle Larson, pick him to be a top Chevrolet at plus 350. You get better return. I like him. I like Ross Chastain. We talked about that. I like Chase Elliott at 450. I think it's going to be a tough battle for the top Chevy, though. This is why I don't think I'll pick a top Chevy pick all year long.
Well, I kind of like your thought process there on Kyle Larson. If you can get anywhere you can get a plus 350 on Kyle Larson, boy, it's hard to pass that up. So I really kind of like that one. I'm with you 100% there. It's a tough one to pick, but I just think that's a great number on Kyle Larson. All right, let's take a look at our top Ford picks this week. Ryan Blaney comes in as the favorite at plus 200. Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick at plus 350. Chase Briscoe is plus 550. Eric Almirola is 800. Brad Keselowski, Austin Cindric, 14-1. Chris Buescher is 20. Cole Custer, 30. Harrison Burton, Michael McDowell, 100. Yaley, Cody Ware, B.J. McLeod at 200.
Watch out for that Chase Briscoe at 550 and Harvick 350. I like both of those. Just based off of Phoenix, recent history, Phoenix short track. I think there's a lot of stat that says Chase and Kevin Harvick are a good shot for the top Ford. But once again, a lot of choices there for a top Ford. I can narrow it down to 2 of them, though.
I think the thing that kind of strikes me as I start looking at this list is just to see that the Fords have not been seem to be as strong this year. I know Blaney won the All-Star race and Logano got a win earlier this year, but the Fords just don't seem as strong because I just don't see as many guys up there where I say, man, that guy, he ought to be the guy to win this thing. So I would stay away from that one if it were me.
But you just named the short tracks, the Coliseum in Phoenix, and that was all Fords. Chase Briscoe, Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick. A lot of Fords in those at Phoenix in the short tracks.
No, you're right. Okay, let's take a look at our top Toyota pick. Kyle Busch coming in as the favorite at plus 225. Denny Hamlin is plus 250. Martin Truex Jr. also plus 250. Christopher Bell is plus 310. Kurt Busch at 900 and Bubba at 14-1.
But we always talk about this one because it's such a short field, right? This is my favorite of the manufacturer props because there's only 6 choices here. Denny Hamlin, I made an argument for just about all these guys, but you want a flyer. Bubba Wallace been running really good, just hasn't finished in there. If they can put it together, 14-1, he's got a shot as the long shot in the Toyota field. I don't dislike it.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting, but I'll kind of go back what you said about the Chevrolets with Kyle Larson, about Kyle Busch's odds to finish top Toyota are better odds on him than he is to finish top 3. And I mentioned earlier the fact that Kyle Busch is going to get an extra practice session on Friday. I think that's going to be a huge positive for him. So I really like Kyle Busch here as a top Toyota. Okay, unfortunately, Brendan, we have to talk about how we did at the Coke 600, which
there's bad beats, man.
I know. So Brendan and I both probably had 3 winners with 2 laps to go in regulation. But then what's the proverbial saying? All hell broke loose, and at that point, it all went south for us. So again, kudos to the pit crew for picking Denny Hamlin as a winner. He was 12-1. Big win for the pit crew. Made a move. Still did not get him out of the cellar, so we still get to give their picks away first. But they definitely are gaining ground on both of us there, Brendan. So our hats off to the pit crew.
They needed it. They needed to get off that schneid. Good. I'll take it. I'll take the 12-1 for Denny. They need it. Now, if we can all just spread ourselves out this week, all of us get into a nice positive number, we can start looking for like professionals here.
Well, the pit crew swung for the fences on a 12-1 last week, so I think this week they decided to tap the brakes a little bit. So I'm going to read off the pit crew picks because they're in last and they get to go first. Joey Logano for a top 3 at plus 450. Martin Truex Jr. is the top Toyota at plus 250. Chase Elliott to win Group B plus 270. Tyler Reddick to win Group C at a plus 320. And Daniel Suarez to win Group E at a plus 205. Brendan?
Well, that's kind of exciting. I think I'm going to be going head-to-head with them in a couple of these matchups. So, look, I told you a second ago, Jeff, I think I'm going to be able to hedge. I found a way to do a little bit of hedging again, and I like hedging my bets a little bit. I could still win both of them even, so that's the good news. I'm going to start off. I had Kyle Busch to win, and I scratched it out. I got it written right here. Kyle Busch win, scratched it out. I do like the Kyle Busch win, but I like the groups this week so much. So I'm starting off with a Harvick top 3, and this is where my hedge comes in. Harvick in the top 3, yet I'm going to take Briscoe in Group D. There's my hedge. Harvick is plus 450 for the top 3, and Briscoe's plus 295 in Group D. Now, if I get both ways, Briscoe wins the race. Kevin gets the top 3, gets second or third. I'm a happy camper. So I'm playing my little hedge there. I can get a good return on both of them. Then I'm going to stay in the group matchups for the rest of them. I got Cindric in Group E. We talked ourselves into that 325. This style track, I do like it. I got Stenhouse in Group F, 310. How well he's been running. And then I'm going to go back up into Group B until Ross Chastain cools off. I am sticking with Ross Chastain, man. He has been too hot, even though he's up against heavy hitters right there. How about the fact we're picking Ross Chastain in a group with Chase Elliott, William Byron, and Ryan Blaney? I did not expect that when the season started.
Well, I'm going to pick Chastain in a group against 35 other guys. So I'm going Chastain to win at 10-1. I am really all in on Ross this week. Again, it's because of that truck win 3 years ago, his consistency, how strong he's been week to week, and I think he's going to have a huge confidence factor going into this. I normally take a lot of groups. I'm only going 2 groups this week, but my eggs are in the Chastain basket. I'm going to take Ross in Group B there at plus 270, and I'm going to go Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in Group F, so I'm with you at a plus 310. My other 2 picks, I'm going to go with manufacturer picks. And I know you said you would never take a Chevy prop, but you give me a 350 on Kyle Larson, I'm just not going to leave it dangling out there. Love Kyle Larson there at plus 350. And then I'm going to go over to the Toyotas, and it goes back to what I was talking about, the whole practice thing, if you will. Kyle Busch for the top Toyota, I just really like that. I know he's the favorite, but it's a plus 225. Again, a better number than if he were in the top 3. So really like Kyle Busch there.
Like I said, Kyle Larson, I pointed that out. Kyle Larson, I don't like the top Chevys normally, but you got 350. He's a plus 200 for a top 3. I do like the Kyle Larson bet. It's hard to go against him. He is so good everywhere we go.
Well, Brendan, we got just over a minute to go. How about giving everybody a lap around Gateway? It's something most of our race fans, unless they watch truck races over the last 10 years, haven't even seen a race there. So take us on a lap.
Yeah, I'm excited about how this new car is going to work out, honestly. I don't know how many times they're going to downshift. I do think we're going to see 2 downshifts on this, Jeff. I think you're going to see the guys cross the start-finish line, go into turn 1. I think they're going to drop 2 gears and get all the way down into that 4th gear, drive that thing around the bottom of Gateway. You got to get it to turn well. You go down the back straightaway, upshift twice. You're going to go into turn 3, and then you get that Phoenix-style big flat turn. You can enter the bottom. You can enter the middle. You can even enter the top, float it all the way around, 1 downshift there, and then drive down the front straightaway. Fun racetrack, fun place to race. Excited that the Cup Series is going there.
Well, I think it's always exciting when we get a new racetrack on the schedule. So we'll see that this weekend at Gateway. Brendan, we're all wishing you good luck this weekend down there in Mexico in the Baja 500. Really excited for next week. We come back on our show next week. We're going to wrap up this race at Gateway, and we're going to talk about the road course, Wine Country in Sonoma, and we get to induct you into the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. So, Brendan will be in studio next week. We'll see you next week on Gone Racin'.